Miss Helen, you bought a wood stove. How wonderful. You should have got the nerve to leave me behind, huh? What? Why? Why is my house on fire?
Trouble busters!
Oh, wow. Oh, Miss Helen, you bought a wood stove. How wonderful. My name is Helen, and today was a party to show off the wood stove I bought after letting my admiration for such a thing get out of hand, but oh, wow, I'm so jealous. Damn it, Sadie is far more interested in this thing than I expected. In a nutshell, Mrs. Sadie Johnson is easily influenced by what other people possess. I don't mind that in and of itself, but wow, that's so nice. Once she feels jealous. So you freaking leave me behind, eh? Ah, shit, I knew it. She's an incredibly troublesome person whose feelings of jealousy quickly turn into resentment. Did you seriously want to be the center of attention that much, Helen? No, perish the thought. I just let my admiration get the better of me. I was wondering what was going on when I saw construction workers working on your house. I should have known. A chimney, eh? A chimney built to install a damn wood stove. Yes, that's right, ma'am. I wanted to be the first person to buy a wood stove and surprise everyone. What? But I didn't know anything about that. And you came to live in this neighborhood after me. Yes, I suppose that's true. Perhaps you forgot that I was the first one to talk to you after moving first here, didn't I? No, I would never. I truly appreciate you being so kind to me initially. Well then, I shall give you a special pardon just this one. Thank you, ma'am. You know, after calming down a little and looking about the stove objectively, it's no good at all. Why the hell would I be jealous of something that isn't even all that good? Sadie looked for faults in me after pressuring the other ladies around her to join her side. This time, the fault she'd apparently focused on was that I spent too much money on the wood stove and the chimney. So, how much money did you spend, Helen? Well, about 15 grand, give or take. You can't be serious. $15,000? What the hell? So expensive. The contractor took advantage of your gullibility too much. My. Corporations these days are just so greedy. This housewife doesn't seem to know anything, so we're going to rip her off. After Sadie uttered so many complaints about the installation of my wood stove, well, I think I'll allow you to be a bad example for me and everyone else, is what she left us with upon leaving my house, seemingly triumphant and proud. Don't you ever come back! You're not welcome anymore! And then Sadie's nasty way of doing things began to become apparent. Not 3 weeks after seeing the wood stove in my house, a chimney was completed within her own house, and a wood stove of her own was installed a month after that. We were invited to her house by the woman herself, claiming that she wanted to show off her new wood stove. How is it then? Isn't it just amazing? Yes, Sadie. It's just splendid. Yes, indeed it is. As expected of you, Sadie, darling. Someone we won't mention was here spending so much money and time. 6 months at least. Typical of people underinformed about this sort of thing. A woman who knows what she's doing, like me, acts quickly after setting her mind to it. Let's have parties at my house instead of Helen's from now on, okay? Hey, doesn't it smell a bit bad? Yeah, the smell of the smoke is unpleasant at best. And this never happened at Helen's. Well, if no one's coming, they don't have to. I didn't buy it for the sole reason of showing it off to people in the first place, but recently the firewood has been running out abnormally fast. It's not easy to pay for firewood either. As I thought about this strange problem, I got home. The firewood! It's gone! Who the hell is the culprit? I thought it could only be one person, so I immediately set a small hidden camera up to capture evidence. And 2 days later, I discovered that the culprit really was Sadie, as I'd expected. I could tolerate her staining someone's wood stove out of sheer spite and jealousy. But after going this far, I've reached my limit. Unforgivable. Trouble busters! What? Sadie screaming? Let me inside! No! My house!
It's dangerous, ma'am. You must stand back. Stop it, honey. Give it up already.
My clothes, my money, my firewood, my stove! I rushed to her house once I heard her scream, "Let me inside." Upon reaching the scene, I saw a firefighter and her husband, Mr. Seth Johnson, holding her back from the flames. As that was going on, other firefighters worked relentlessly to douse the fire, but her house was completely burned to the ground, and the fire had ripped Sadie of everything she held dear to her, but in an instant. Everything is your fault, Helen! What? What the hell did you do? What did I do? Why is this my fault at all, Sadie? It was your frickin' firewood. Firewood? You frickin' placed explosives in the firewood out of sheer spite for me, didn't you? But there's no way I would do such a thing. I use the same firewood in my own house. That cannot be the case. If that's the case, then why? The firewood we use is the same, and your freaking house is fine, and my precious house is burned to the ground. You manipulated this, controlled this remotely, and plotted sinisterly to burn down my house. I'll make you pay. So help me, I'll make you pay for this. You took everything from me, and I will never forgive you. I'll never forgive you, you understand me? As payback for this, I shall set your house on fire.
Calm down, Sadie.
Honey?
Why did it end up like this? To be honest, there are so many things I want to ask you, but... The cause of the fire has been ascertained, sir. Shit, and now there's a mountain of things to do. The cause of the fire was the chimney buried in the wall, you see.
The chimney? The chimney heated up by the wood stove started burning the surrounding walls. The true cause of the fire was tar inside the chimney catching fire and spreading around the chimney, which made the area surrounding it even hotter, causing the walls to become ablaze.
Exactly, ma'am.
But that makes things even stranger. If that was the cause of the fire, then Helen's house, who installed a wood stove earlier than I did, would have burned a long time ago. Why did my house burn to the ground when I got my wood stove after? It's the difference in the chimney, Sadie. Difference in the chimney? Choosing the chimney is a very important section when installing a wood stove, you understand? You essentially chose the lowest ranking chimney, a single pipe made by simply arranging metal plates in a tube.
Huh? The lowest rank?
The single pipe has virtually no heat insulation effects, and the tar that caused the fire in this case tends to accumulate quite rapidly. Because the chimney has no insulation, when using a wood stove, the high temperature inside the chimney escapes to its surroundings, and that in turn raises the temperature inside the chimney.
That's right, that's a perfect answer, ma'am, for almost a perfect score. You must have studied a lot.
Well, I was going to harness fire anyways, so I wanted to be sure about safety. Oh, that's why Sadie's house and clothes were always smelling like smoke. In short, Sadie was completely neglectful of safety measures then. Not only was the chimney she installed of rather poor quality, but it was even more painful and disastrous to have flammable things around it. If you know so much, then why didn't you tell me, eh? Well, I did try to tell you, but every time I talked about it, you'd say, yeah, I don't listen to people who think that all that's needed is spend money. You said that and much more and never offered an ear to listen. But even so, don't give up and keep trying to tell me, damn it! It was because you neglected to do that my house burned to the frickin' ground, and I'll make sure you take responsibility too. What? And why would I let a thief?
It's stupid to shoulder the responsibility onto someone who had nothing to do with the fire, Sadie. What are you talking about?
But Seth, honey, I'm saying that the cause of this fire was Helen's unkindness.
It was because we haven't studied enough, and that's final. Helen is not your mother, Sadie. You're an adult. Why are you saying such naive things, eh?
That's right, and you're the one who took our firewood. Ah!
What the hell?
Oh, Riley and Mr. Smith from next door. How do you... Frick you and your how do you do?
Did the fire come from your house? I'm terribly sorry about this.
Yeah, simple apology's not gonna cut it, capiche?
And that goes for Mrs. Smith's house and mine. Half of
our
our
houses are burned up. Point your hanger at Miss Helen, guys.
What? Miss
Helen?
Did Miss Helen set fire to your house?
She might as well have, yes. Oi, firewood swiper. Enough with your bullshit, eh?
Firewood swiper? Miss Helen, what do you mean by that? More freaking importantly, buddy, what about my house? What are you gonna do about them?
If half the house is in despair, we won't get any insurance, you know.
What the hell does Helen mean by firewood swiper, Sadie? How could you do this to my house?
You'll pay for this, most definitely, won't you? Sadie was in full panic mode after being interrogated by even her husband. So actually, folks, I told Riley and Mr. Smith, Sadie Johnson's next-door neighbors, everything there is to know about the situation.
So, I was told this by Miss Helen here, but this whole thing was caused by Mrs. Johnson's negligence towards safety measures when installing her wood stove, wasn't it?
It wasn't neglectful. The people who built the chimney for us said that even a single-pipe chimney could be a good choice if we stayed vigilant of its environment and we cleaned it regularly. If we did that, well, then there would be no danger of fire. So why was there a fire then? Well, the simple answer is that there was firewood, paper, and other flammable materials around the chimney inside the house. Helen, you bitch! Enough out of you!
No, enough out of you, Sadie!
And there are laws about fires caused by fires spreading to other houses. So even if you are the owner of the house that caused a fire to spread to other houses nearby, you are unlikely to be obligated to pay other victims money. But that's good news.
Don't you freaking smile!
Oh, I'm sorry. But in this case, despite installing a wood stove, which thereby created an environment where a fire breaking out was far more probable, the residents still ignored safety, so I believe this should fall under the category of gross negligence.
Gross negligence?
Well, I'm just an amateur, so I can't really say for sure.
Excelente! You're looking very good, Miss Helen.
Ah, Mr. Mulligan. Wow, talk about uncanny timing, a lawyer before us.
What do you think about this case as a lawyer, Mr. Mulligan?
Is simple negligence? It'll be handled in simple negligence with no obligation to pay any debts, right? Hey now, you're not going to ask such an inconsiderate question in front of us. But I'm also desperate here. I'm sorry for you two, but if I'm not legally obligated to pay you, I won't do anything.
Sadie, stop it!
Now, Mr. Mulligan, tell me your opinion on the matter.
Well, from what I've heard so far, as Miss Helen said earlier, ignoring safety is a case of gross negligence and will become a case that handles legally obligated damages.
What? I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't. If it's not on purpose, why the hell would it be gross negligence?
Well, listen, Mrs. Johnson. Gross negligence refers to a state in which a person overlooks something that could have been foreseen and prevented with just a little bit of care. Nothing too physically or financially demanding, but that in this case was completely overlooked. The Supreme Court will most likely dictate that this is a case of extreme lack of care, where the accused, without the reasonable care normally required of a person, could have foreseen the illegal and harmful consequences with a simple, careful vision into the future, but overlooked it completely.
Don't make it so complicated. I don't understand.
Simply put, gross negligence is the result of a mistake that would not have happened if the accused had simply been careful. A fire that cannot be dismissed as simple carelessness because of the position of flammable objects and furniture nearby falls under this category.
That's not true. You're mistaken, Mr. Mulligan.
What?
I never put anything dangerous around the chimney.
Is that true?
Yes, I'm handling fire inside the house after all. I was careful as can be. And that's a lie, isn't it? What? You again? Yell at me, hate me, insult me, hit me all you want. But what you did was clearly negligent. You have no evidence. You're just making things up. Can you really say that after looking at this? On your social media account here, which exists only to satisfy your obsession with attention and approval, you can clearly see flammables all around the wood stove now, can't you? But that was from a week ago today. The post dates to 3 o'clock this afternoon, though. How foolish is this bitch?
Well, she probably doesn't have the time to sit down and think up lies.
Either way, I can't see any signs of remorse.
Even if it wasn't photographed, if you check the source of the fire, you can find out pretty quickly where it started to burn and why it burned.
You didn't have to, but you did tell a lie that has no productive effect in this case. And that was just to tarnish your existence, didn't you? Shut up, shut up, shut up! It's your freaking fault for making me so goddamn pissed! Damn you to hell! What? But I didn't do anything. I had the idea for buying a wood stove long before you ever did. But you went and had an unveiling party and that kind of bullshit leaving me behind. Yeah? How was I supposed to know anything? As expected, the weak-minded Abigail and Mary are like, oh, what a wonderful stove. I'm so jealous. This is amazing, Helen. Such a low-level praise. I wanted to monopolize that envy and admiration, but you started living with a wood stove without my permission. I see, and that made you angry, so you stole firewood from me, eh? Yeah, that's right. Firewood is freaking expensive after all. I initiated a double whammy of personal grudges and economic sanctions. And your crimes go beyond just irritating me. Just so hurry the hell up. Just go with the cheapest, quickest, fastest construction that takes the least amount of time.
But that's just too unreasonable, ma'am. Your desired completion period is far too short, and while I have introduced it to you, a single-pipe chimney is not recommended.
Shut up! You're trying to rip me off by saying that, aren't you?
No, ma'am. You'll be harnessing in your house, so it's better to spend money on this.
Well, I don't want to go that route. If you're too persistent, I'll file a complaint saying a salesman in charge tried to force me to buy something expensive.
I understand. I'll do as you say, Mrs. Smith.
And you'll get it done by the deadline, or so help me. A bitch called Helen went and stole my wood stove idea, and I want to make it right away. To Make that woman look so sorry for herself. If you hadn't installed your wood stove first, we wouldn't have spent money in.
Wait a minute, what do you mean by spend money?
What?
You said the construction cost $15,000, right?
Oh.
What do you mean you spent $15,000 just to install a low-quality chimney?
Well, so you embezzled and stole the expenses for the construction. Stealing's in your blood.
What on earth? What is it with you, Sadie? You start fires, steal firewood, falsify construction costs, and steal my money?
Burning things and stealing things, you fit the damn description of a thief. No, that's too soft for the reality. An arsonist is what you sound like.
Show me the receipts.
It's been destroyed.
I see.
Honey, who are you calling?
The contractor, of course. They'll tell me the true price of the construction.
No, stop. I'm sorry.
I think you know already, but you've caused so much trouble to people up to this point, and in the event you're responsible for additional crimes, we're getting a divorce.
Divorce? No, please. Calm down, honey, please. It's the fault of the contractors. They recommended a single pipe even though they're the lowest quality. Let's sue the company. The real enemy is the company.
No,
it's you
bitch! I'm sorry to interject here, but single-pipe chimneys legally have no problem, you see?
What the hell? It's also the fault of the people who made this shitty chimney that turned into a goddamn firestorm, isn't it?
If you manage it properly, single-pipe chimneys don't cause fires.
No, stop. Don't start calling them. Hang up.
If there was no defect in the chimney, then you were the one who managed it poorly and thus are responsible for this disaster.
Then prove that I made careless decision. I don't know, but I could have a third-party investigation agency look into this, right? Right? Honey, let's do that. You don't have time for that, though, do you?
I'm sorry to bother you with all the fuss, but we have to talk about us first, so...
For real, there's no way we can live in houses that half survived the fire.
We'll demand compensation from you, so you better freaking prepare for that. A civil lawsuit.
I'll also file a report to the police for stealing my firewood and demand compensation from you, too.
Civil and criminal. I hear the regular price was $6,000, Sadie. Where did the $9,000 difference disappear to, eh?
It was destroyed.
Don't you freaking think you'll get away with everything by claiming everything was destroyed by the fire?
Forgive me, everyone, please. After that, Sadie finally came to her senses, but it was too late. No one was willing to forgive her for causing the fire, theft, and embezzlement. Her husband Seth divorced her and sued her for destroying the house that was in his name. The triple demands for gross negligence damages under the Home Liability Act, including against her neighbors Riley and Mr. Smith, were granted, and Sadie was ordered to pay a total of $1,742,500 in damages to those affected. There was no negligence in the contractor's work on the chimney. With no other option, Sadie begged her parents for help, and almost everything, including all of her remaining possessions, her family house, land, car, and furniture, were sold, and was able to pay off $1.2 million. However, she was unable to pay the remaining $542,500, and from that point on, it was treated as a small amount, but an additional fine of $3,000 was included for firewood theft. The crime of theft was mitigated and awarded her a criminal record, so for the time being, Sadie was punished accordingly. It seemed that she is now working day and night to pay off her debts.
No, why did I ever be so stubborn? It was all so pointless. I had such an admiration for wood stoves. I was going to live a nice life.
Hey there! Pipe down, will you?
As for me, a source of stress for me in my life was eliminated, and I'm now enjoying my life beside a beautiful wood stove. I'm always surrounded by such warm air and warm people, and every day is such a blessing. Trouble Busters!